Hello everyone, today I'm going to show you my latest project, the Bluetooth mod of the G750 folding keyboard. This keyboard was designed in the early 2000s for PDAs like HP or Dell. It has several variants like the G740 and the Dell one is G750. They all share the same folding mechanism, which is pretty cool. Basically, you pull both sides and it pops out like this to form a decently sized keyboard. You can see the connector to the PDA here. Now it is a shame that such a fantastic keyboard cannot be used on modern devices. So after taking apart of the keyboard, I found out the connector module is detachable, which makes me think, is it possible to replace this connector module with a module that has Bluetooth functionality? Now after a few months of experiments, I finally made it, and here it is. Now this is the original connector module I disassembled from the HP keyboard. As you can see, it is quite an engineering challenge to fit a Bluetooth microcontroller with a battery inside such a small space. And the space is even smaller than Apple's smallest Apple Shuffle, so you know how challenging it is. To pull this off, I had to design my own PCB, which contains the Bluetooth function and the battery charging circuitry. Here is the PCB. It also contains the I/O circuitry to talk to the keyboard. The Bluetooth controller is CH582F from Qingheng. I chose it mainly because it's simple to use, the power consumption is low, and the price is low. The protocol of this keyboard is some serial key protocol. You can see the center wire here is the serial cable and also the power cable and the ground cable. Some keyboards use TTL level and some use inverted TTL level. It depends on the PDA model it needs to support. Whenever the keys are depressed, it sends a key code to the Bluetooth controller, and then the Bluetooth controller sends the corresponding HID key code to the Bluetooth host. This is how I achieved the translation of the key press events. I also included a battery inside this tight space. As you can see, I had to be very creative about the case design to utilize the space as much as possible. Last, I have a micro switch here to only turn the module on when the keyboard is folded up, and it will turn the module off when the keyboard is folded off. The CH582F chip has some nice features, like it can pair up to 4 Bluetooth hosts, as well as the USB connection, which means up to 5 hosts. You can switch between them like a KVM. I'm going to show you an example here. If you want to use 2 phones and switch between them, for example, you can type on the first phone first. This is the first phone, and then you can use FN plus S to switch to the second phone. Need some time to reconnect. Okay. Yeah, you can see it is very convenient if you want to use this keyboard with multiple devices. Now that I have explained how I did the Bluetooth mod, let's go back and talk about how this keyboard feels. So it's like a review of this keyboard itself. If you have seen my previous videos, you would know I have a similar Bluetooth mod for the famous Palm Portable keyboards. Now I would rate this one as 10 out of 10 for a foldable keyboard. For the G750, I would rate it as 8 out of 10. The reason being, first of all, the keys feels nice and stable. The layout is not weird, at least you can find most of the keys on a full-size keyboard. The build quality is great, one of the top tier for a foldable keyboard. The key size, it is about 80% of a full-size keyboard, so it might take some time for you to get used to, but once you do, it is no problem. The only problem I have found is the spacebar balancing mechanism. It is not great, meaning if you press on the edge of the spacebar, it will not register. You have to press on the center. Of course, you can try to train yourself to press the center every time you press the spacebar, but it's not quite ergonomic. As you can see, usually when we type space, when we are typing, our thumb land on this key. So I actually remapped this key to be another space key. Actually, this one used to be the Alt key, and this key used to be here. I physically swapped these two. This kind of helped. I would say it helped like 50% of the case. And every time I was typing, I would try to like type here, and now the spacebar will register, or you can type it here. That improves the situation a little. That being said, if you ask me which keyboard I would take with me on a daily basis, the Palm Portable keyboard or the G750, I would choose the G750 without a doubt, because the form factor is really perfect. It is an all-in-one solution, unlike the Palm Portable keyboard, where you need to have your keyboard and a separate adapter. This one is just all self-contained. You can actually use the cover as a kickstand. So whenever you are at your office or you are at the cafeteria, you can put your phone like this. And if you just want to open it, try to type some messages, you can slide it open. It's really convenient. Even though I have to occasionally deal with the spacebar issue, it is still a better experience than carrying this. To me, it is not something I would type a whole essay on it, but for replying some messages on the go, I would say it's the most convenient solution. Now let me show you how to exchange the keycaps like I explained. You can see the keys are mostly the same size, especially the special keys, which makes it really convenient for key switching. The key structure is a scissor switch type, so you can use a wedge-shaped tool, like a pair of tweezers. You can stick it from the side. The tip should hold down the scissor structure down while you pry the other end up. It's something like this. Just like that, the keycap pops right off. Let's take a closer look at the scissor switch structure. It moves like this, so when you pry, the tip of the tweezer should hold down the switch at this point. Don't pry from underneath. That might lift the structure of the base, which will damage the keyboard. So always pry like this. If you want to install them, you can just press them back. Just push them and they will stay in place. So if you want to swap any other two keys, like the Control and Fn keys, I know somebody prefer the Control key on the leftmost place. You can do that, but you also need to change the key mapping in the firmware if you do swap them. Now let me show you how to disassemble the keyboard in order to install the Bluetooth module. So in order to install the Bluetooth one, you have to remove 5 screws. Here, 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 and here. So I'm going to remove that off the camera. Okay, the screws are removed. Now you need to remove the top cover assembly by pulling this up. And it's better to disconnect the silver part and the black part too. The next step would be to detach the connector with the top cover like that. And now you can remove the wire like that and reconnect the Bluetooth module here. Sometimes when you connect them, the wire would be just make sure it's a firm connection. Sometimes the connector will push the wire back out of the casing. In that case, you need to use a pair of tweezers and push that back in. Now you can reattach the module to the top cover. Yeah, just like the original one. And then you need to tuck the connector inside the space here. And there's another thing to be noted is this piece needs to go under the keyboard here, so it's better to unfold the keyboard and wiggle that piece down. Yeah, make sure there's no wire caught under the screw hole, otherwise you will damage the wiring. Okay, now it is okay. You can screw back the 5 screws and it will be done. Yeah, remember to reconnect these two parts. Okay, now it is done. I know many of you will ask how you can also get one of these Bluetooth modules. Since I made my own PCB, the manufacturer cost is a little high, so I made a bunch of them in the hope that I can sell some of these modules to amortize the cost. If you are interested in buying one, I have a store link in my video description, which is for fully assembled module, not the PCB. There's also a GitHub link containing all the hardware schematic and the firmware source code, as well as the assemble process. So if you want to improve based on my design, you can also do that. As always, if you have any suggestions to this project, feel free to leave a comment to this video. If you have other PDA related hardware you think I might be interested, feel free to suggest. That's all. Thank you so much for watching, and bye.